Hey everybody, I hope you guys are healthy and safe. So the footage you're watching right now is shot with the ultra-wide angle camera of the Oppo Find X3 Pro. So you notice that stabilization as well as color science dynamic range should look pretty good, right? That's because Oppo decided to put a little bit more attention to the ultra-wide angle sensor. This lens uses Sony IMX766, which is a new lens that Oppo developed in partnership with Sony. In fact, the main camera of the Oppo Find X3 Pro uses this exact same sensor. So that's good news for people like me who love to shoot with the ultra wide angle camera often, because now when I switch between the two cameras, I don't have to compromise in image or video quality because both of these lenses uses the exact same sensor. So that means you'll get consistency, whether it's color science, stability, dynamic range, all of that. Right now you're still looking at footage shot with the ultra wide angle camera. The sound is coming from the built-in mic too. Let's switch to the main camera. Okay, so now you're looking at footage from the main camera of the Oppo Find X3 Pro. So other than the fact that the crop is now a little bit too tight, like my face is probably too close for comfort, right? You should notice very similar color science, lighting, details, dynamic range, all of that. I really like that about this phone. The fact that I can shoot with the main camera right now or shoot with the ultra wide angle camera and get consistent footage across the board. But of course, there's a lot more to like with the Oppo Find X3 Pro. I've been using the phone for about 2 weeks now, so this is my full review. Okay, so in addition to a really good ultra-wide-angle camera, the rest of the hardware of the Oppo Find X3 Pro is really good too, so let's go over the basics. So you have a 6.7-inch display. This is a WQHD display. It has a resolution of 3216 by 1440. It's an adaptive refresh rate panel, maxes out at 120 Hz. Animations, everything look great. Now this screen looks very vibrant and punchy, but it doesn't get as bright as the Galaxy S21 Ultra's panel. Max brightness is 1300 nits, which is still good enough for most cases. But if you are in the middle of a Las Vegas desert under direct sunlight, it won't be as easy to see as a new Samsung phone. But there's something really cool about this display that I'll talk about in a bit. I'll come back to it. Let's focus on the rest of the design. So the back of the Oppo Find X3 Pro, I gotta admit, when I first saw leaked renders of this phone, I did not like it. But once I got the phone in hand, I realized this is one of those phones that look much better in person than in photos. Because this camera bump, yeah, it looks a little bit different, right? It's quite unique. This camera bump is actually one single sheet of glass along with the entire back plate. And the camera bump only sticks out in this subtle curvature. It's not, you know how a lot of other phones, the camera bump is quite abrupt. So it's like you have a glass panel like this, and then the camera bump just sticks up like that. With this phone, the camera bump curves up. So it looks quite interesting, and it's difficult to show in photos without it looking really weird. Now, whether or not you like this look depends on your opinion. Personally, I still think the Galaxy S21 Ultra looks a little better, but you cannot deny that this glass panel is very unique because of the fact that the camera module, it's entirely one piece of the glass. And the curvature, Oppo says it's a very complicated process. Oppo says it takes 40 hours to make this piece of glass. And the curving parts, there's actually over 1,000 points of curvature. And you can kind of see that in the way it reflects light. I find this effect to look quite eye-catching. It looks like liquid metal. You know how Terminator 2, the evil Terminator T-1000, every time he's trying to shapeshift, he turns into that kind of reflective metal. This is how this phone looks to me whenever I move it around, and then you see the light reflects off the camera module. It looks like Robert Patrick, basically. So yeah, like I said, whether or not you actually like this look depends on you, but this is unique, and it's different from, you know, the 55 other flagship phones on the market right now. And anytime a brand's doing something unique, I feel like it deserves credit, although I don't like that this back attracts fingerprints. Now this phone's a premium flagship, so you already know what chip it runs on. It runs on Snapdragon 888 with 12 gigs of RAM inside, and almost all the features you'd expect or demand from a premium flagship is here this year. Remember last year, the Oppo Find X2 Pro disappointed some people because it did not have wireless charging or official IP rated water resistance. Well, both of these are here now. You have wireless charging here that supports up to 30 watt fast charge if you use Oppo's proprietary charger, and also it's rated IP68 water resistance. And With the package comes a 65-watt charging brick that tops up this phone super fast. Basically, plug in 10 minutes, you're gonna see like a 30–40% bump. So basically, the Oppo Find X3 Pro ticks almost every box of a premium flagship. You have really good main and ultra-wide-angle camera, a 120Hz brilliant OLED display, Snapdragon 888, a lot of RAM. So the only thing missing of the Find X3 Pro is a really strong zoom lens. You only have a 13-megapixel telephoto zoom lens here that only gives you 5 times hybrid zoom, so not even lossless zoom, and it only maxes out at 20 times. That's a little bit mediocre compared to what we've been seeing from flagship phones. In fact, Oppo was one of the pioneers of the periscope zoom lens. So it's a little bit disappointing to me that Oppo decided to skip the periscope camera for this phone. But other than that, other than the lack of a really strong zoom lens, everything else about this phone is tip-top, premium, flagship quality. Now let's go back to this display, because this is not just any ordinary display. This is a 10-bit panel. Oppo calls it full path color management system. And what this phone can do is it basically can capture 10-bit photos with the main camera, process the photos in 10-bit inside the phone, and then display it onto your screen in 10-bit colors. Now, if you're not familiar with what 10-bit is, it's basically a technical term to describe how many shades of colors a screen can produce. So most monitors out on the market right now, they're actually only 8-bit monitors, and most smartphone screens are also 8-bit smartphone screens. And when you have an 8-bit screen, you can only display a maximum of 16 million colors. To be honest, that's still more than enough for the human eye. But the advantage of a 10-bit panel or 10-bit photo is that it supports way more colors. It supports over 1 billion colors. And Oppo is calling this the billion color phone. So that means, technically speaking, the Oppo Find X3 Pro will give you a little bit more accurate colors, will give you more colors than what the Oppo Find X2 Pro can do. Now, to be honest, can you really notice the difference between 10-bit color and 8-bit color if you're just a regular, normal human? Probably not, but if you are a geek who's really into color accuracy, if you care about stuff like DCI, P3, color gamut, all that, then you'll be happy to know that the Oppo Find X3 Pro ticks every box. And the fact that this phone can capture 10-bit HEIF photos is something that many phones cannot do right now. In fact, Oppo's taking color so seriously with this year's Find X3 Pro, it's built in a color vision test directly into the phone, so that way you can test your color perception to see if you're colorblind, to see how much of the color gamut you actually can pick up. So you can see that my color vision is not completely on point. So what Oppo is going to do is now it's going to adjust the colors according to my perception. Okay, so as I mentioned, the ultra-wide-angle camera of the Find X3 Pro is really good. The main camera is really good too, which I'll get to later. But the one lens that also impresses me a lot is this third lens right here. This is a 3-megapixel micro lens. So what is micro lens? It's basically a microscope. So it allows you to get really close-up shots of something. It's basically like a macro lens on steroids, like a Super Saiyan version of macro lens. So you just have to go into this settings here, tap a microscope, and now it is on. And you notice there's a ring light around the camera, because when you get really close to the subject, it actually gets really dark, so you need more light source. So let's try zooming into this little dot right here. Look at how small this is. You bring the microscope camera down, see, wow, you can see the individual texture of the dot. See, I've been having a lot of fun with this microscope lens. I've been putting it up close to a sofa, my wallet, to see the individual strands of linen of the material, which you can't see with the human eye. So it's another lens that can do something that almost no other smartphone can do now. Let's try it one more time. So I have a $5 Hong Kong coin here. I'm gonna bring the camera all the way in. You can see the individual etching of the coin. Wow. So yeah, this microscope lens is legit. Okay, let's talk about the main camera of the Oppo Find X3 Pro. So as mentioned, it is a 50-megapixel shooter, Sony IMX766 sensor with an image sensor size of 1/1.56 inch. Now this is a sensor that Oppo worked in partnership with Sony to develop just for this phone. And for the most part, it's very well optimized. During the day, at night, photos turn out really sharp and, as mentioned, with really lively colors. Now, because the image sensor size at 1/1.56 inch, it's not as large as the image sensor size as seen in the Galaxy S21 Ultra or the Huawei Mate 40 Pro. That means the Oppo Find X3 Pro struggles a little bit in extreme low light conditions. As you can see here, I'm pointing out at Hong Kong. It's really dark right now because it's past midnight, and you can see the Galaxy S21 Ultra just from the viewfinder already takes in a lot more light because it has one of the largest image sensor around. But the good news for Oppo is you do have a night mode that you can turn on, and once night mode is turned on, you do get a pretty respectable shot. Still not as well lit as the S21 Ultra shot, but to be honest, the S21 Ultra brightens up a photo so much it doesn't even look realistic anymore. The Oppo Find X3 Pro shot still keeps a lot of the mood and atmosphere of Hong Kong past midnight.
This is great for skateboarding. Did I tell you that before? And you see like the red thing or
Well, you skated over there before. But like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the main selling point of the Find X3 Pro's camera to me is that you can shoot with the ultra wide angle camera and get an image that's very close in quality to the main camera. You cannot get that with an iPhone 12 or a Galaxy S21 Ultra. Just look at these samples right here. These are all ultra wide angle shots, but as soon as you zoom in and crop in a little bit, you see that the Find X3 Pro's ultra wide angle shots, it's a lot sharper. Just look at some more of these samples. This is one of the very best ultra wide angle cameras I've tested, probably neck and neck with the Huawei Mate 40 Pro. Okay, I just realized I forgot to talk about the selfie camera. A lot of viewers have actually mentioned, how come you never talk about the selfie camera? It's because I don't have a face for selfies, so I don't really take many selfies. But the footage you're watching right now is shot with the Oppo Find X3 Pro's 32 megapixel selfie camera. Now, as for selfie photo quality, I think for the most part they're good, but the Find X3 Pro does seem to struggle in this harsh backlight more so than a Galaxy S21 Ultra or an iPhone 12. Just look at these samples here I took. Now, to be fair, this is a really challenging shot because of the harsh backlight, but just look at how inconsistent these two selfies look, and I took them back to back. But when you have better lighting conditions, then selfies do turn out quite nice. So now let's talk about the software really quick. I've covered ColorOS very in depth over the past couple of years, and I've said plenty of great things. This is one of my favorite Android skins. So it's full of shortcuts. You can double tap on the screen to turn it off, double tap to turn it on, swipe down to bring up notification shade, swipe up to bring up the app tray. I like that you can now open most apps in a mini window. So just swipe up, tap on the two dots, go to mini window, and now I have the app running in the corner. If I want to interact with it, just tap on it, and now I can still use this app if I want, and then I can either bring it back to mini view or I can expand it. It's just very intuitive, and look at animations, everything looks super buttery smooth. Now, the Find X3 Pro also has stereo speakers that sound quite loud. So overall, the Find X3 Pro is a phone that ticks many boxes. There's only a couple weaknesses. As mentioned, the zoom lens kind of suck. Anything beyond 5 times just does not look that great. And also battery life, because I run the phone at the maximum setting. That's Quad HD resolution with 120 Hz refresh rate. For me, I've been getting an average of about 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time, which is not that amazing. Or to give you a more real life usage. So today I left the house around 2 p.m. and right now it is 1 a.m. So it is not even 12 hours yet. It's been 11 hours out, and battery is already down to 20%. So that means, realistically speaking, let's say if I'm still out, I'm not home yet, this phone will last me another hour to an hour and a half. So that means in total, it will have only lasted me about 13 hours out, which is not a full day for most people under non-COVID circumstances. Now, I don't know the official price of the Oppo Find X3 Pro yet at the time of me making this video. I think it's safe to say this phone's gonna be above the $1,000 price range. I don't think it's gonna get to the 1,400 levels that Samsung and Huawei charges. I think a safe bet is that this phone's gonna be around 1,100 or 1,200. And I think at that price, it's a fair value because, like I said, this is a premium flagship almost every step of the way except for not having a zoom lens. So overall, I like the Find X3 Pro a lot. It's really, really polished. I'm probably gonna use this as my daily driver for the next several months, couple of months, at least until the Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra come out. That will probably be my next daily driver after that. So that's about it for this review of the Oppo Find X3 Pro. If you're interested in more content like this, please subscribe to my channel or follow me on Instagram at Ben's Gadget Reviews. I have a lot more content coming up. It's a busy month, so I hope you guys give me your support, man. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.